What's going on, Sky Squad? Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chatterization because I just got this little notification about my microphone. So I'm just trying to make sure that the audio is good. If you guys can hear me and see me clearly, let me know down in that good chatterization. Also, let us know where you're watching from in the chat. I'm not going to hold y'all too long today. I got an appointment at the 1 o'clock, okay? I got a tattoo appointment at the 1 o'clock. So, we still going to give you this good news, okay? But got some things to do. Okay, good. You guys can hear and see me clearly. Thank you very much. All right, a couple of people in the chat. New Orleans, Miami, Phoenix. I see you. Thank you, boo. Shreveport's in the building, Brooklyn in the building, Virginia Beach, Texas, Arkansas. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's quick chat. We're gonna do a quick chat today, okay? Now, first things first, we're talking Nene leaks, and then we got some previews from the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion that just popped up and about. So we're going to discuss those things, but first things first, let's get into the Nene leaks and Andy T of it all. Now, you guys may recall that on The Real, I think it was last week, was it? That Nene leaks has said, she'd be open to returning to the Real Housewives of the Atlanta. Now, baby, I wish she had said this maybe around August or June or so when they were struggling to try to figure out that cast. But anyway, just to recap for y'all, she said, yeah, sure, I'll return to the show. I'm okay with returning to the show as long as we can work through a few things. I'm happy to return to the show. Besides, I have a lot of unfinished business with a couple of them that they confirmed on the show. All right. And then when talking about Andy, okay, she says, Andy and I were close for a really, really long time. I think that Andy and I need to have a sit down, a ponderosa, and talk. Then we're off to the races. Now, I added in that ponderosa as my Jackie Christie reference, but y'all get what I'm saying. So here's the thing. We do know that Andy had reached out to Nene leaks after, or at least made some type of public post or whatever about, the passing of Greg leaks, and so there is at least an acknowledgement of what's going on in, in Nene's life. Now, according to Showbiz Cheat Sheet and a couple of other sources that I've seen out there, there was Andy's on a book tour. And during one of the stops, he allegedly was asked about, Nene talking about her return to the show. And he said that he was focused on the new season of Real Housewives of Atlanta that had already started filming. And one of those sources that I had seen had said that he indicated, allegedly, again, I have to say it because I haven't seen the clip, that there was no space for Nene leaks at this point in time. Now, I told y'all that budget had been already taken up, okay? That budget has already been taken up with, other things and other people that's back on the show. Y'all know that they had Angela Simmons from the Real Housewives, not from Growing Up Hip Hop. She was filming at Marlo's event. I had seen a couple of people put it in the chat, and I had actually seen photos of her as well. I don't think she's filming to be any parts of the show, but it is just interesting that she was, at least at the event. And also, y'all, happy Veterans Day. How could I almost forget that? In my haste to get to the news, we got to acknowledge our veterans. Shout out to any veterans out there in this jamboree right now. We salute you. We thank you for your service, and we pray for your safety as you continue to, persevere post your time serving our country. We thank you. So my sister is a veteran as well. So shout out to my sister. I love you. Go ahead and say that. You know what I'm saying? Now, Angela, of course, I would not think would be one to be on the. I don't even understand how Angela's still on Growing Up Hip Hop, because Angela avoids the drama at all costs. When it's time, like, she is not going to deal. And I think the reason why they keep her on that show is because of her name. But at the end of the day, when it's some drama, she avoids it like the plague. And we don't need that on a housewife type show. Okay? We don't need that. Now, back to Andy and Nene. So he focused on the new season of Real Housewives of Atlanta and not Nene. Okay. And then he said this on his Sirius XM radio show, Andy Cohen Live. He said, what I don't want to do is get into a public thing with Nene. Okay. He didn't say Nene, but he was referring to her. He says, I think she would probably prefer that I keep her name out of my mouth. And that is what I'm going to honor. Because he know he don't want no smokerization. Okay. No smokerization from that good Nene after, she spewed that fire at him last year. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. And I wouldn't want it either, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, that's what I'll say. If I was him, I wouldn't want it either. I would just kind of keep on trucking, okay? Keep on trucking. But I will also say, too, again, I've said it before, when you raise the alarm on a network and on an executive or a face of a network, I should say, you got to be prepared for that bridge to be burnt. And I feel like that bridge is burnt. Unless those ratings sink down low into the gutter, then I can't see them, picking up the phone and calling Miss Lanithia Elise, even though I feel like she is good for the show. Okay. Now, in my mind, that bridge is burnt to the crisp, and I can't see it right now. Okay. We had allegations of race issues and all kinds of other things that were being tossed back and to and fro. And, right now it's hard to see a way forward for the people. Okay. Now, let's move right on along because we, of course, have a new preview that is out for the Real Housewives of Potomac. Okay. Now, it's so much that's happening in this conversation. And some of it, we're not going to belabor too much because we've had conversations ad nauseum about, Candace. A part of this conversation, though, that we pick up from is right after the moments that we see at the end of part 1 of the reunion, we pick up in part 2 on the same topic, okay, with, Candace and Mia going back and forth about why Mia, had her mom on the show. Mia says that, she had her on the show because her mom wanted to be a voice and an inspiration to others. And then Candace, kind of saying it looked like she was uncomfortable on the screen. And so they get further deeper into it. And essentially, Mia gets to the point where she says that Candace is long overdue for a butt kicking. Okay. And I think she said, but I ain't going to be the one to do it. So Candace then asked Mia, well, is you going to kick my butt? So Karen, at this point in time, she kind of chimes in with something. And I thought this was an interesting statement. Karen says this, Candace, do you not understand that it has to stop? Okay. And then she says, do you want to talk about it, Giselle? We've been doing this for 6 years. We've been dicing each other, but what we don't do, we don't cut to the bone. And Candace is like, girl, yes, you do. And Giselle is agreeing with her. But Karen's statement is that they do so with a twist of humor. Now, that's when Wendy jumps in and says, well, you said that Giselle had an STD. And then Candace turns to Giselle and says, who defines too far? Because you made a t-shirt making fun of your friend's tax woes. Okay. And then she turns to Karen and says, she called you a broken hoe from Hampton University. Talking about when, Karen had done read Giselle down. Now, I don't know about y'all, but both sides is making some points. Okay. both sides is making some points here. And so this ends up being a real interesting dialogue, because what we see here in terms of, now I know I ain't got no degree in sociology, but what we are looking at are social norms for a particular subset of, of a friendship group, we're gonna call them, okay? And they're trying to set the stage for what those boundaries should look like, okay? Now, and to take things further, Candace says she talks about your hoo-ha about your legs, talking to Giselle, saying that Karen says all these things about your legs, body shaming. Everybody up here body shames, okay? So then Wendy chimes in and says Ashley said Mia's hoo-ha was beat to a pulp. I mean, that's what she said. And then Candace then chimes in and says Wendy was the subject of, very bad body shaming. Okay. And then she brings up clips of Ashley referring to Sharice's tatas as saggy. And then she says, everybody here does the body shaming. Okay. Everybody here does the body shaming. Now, Toya Caldwell says, I'm so glad Bravo played the tapes. Where is Juan? Will we need him? Where is Juan Dixon? Okay, where is Juan? I bet he glad he not there. But Juan won't come no way. Juan got things to do. Okay, he is trying. He getting his coaching on. He got time to be fooling around with these shenanigans. Okay. Meanwhile, I ain't gonna lie, Candace bringing up some good points. I mean, you gotta listen when you write. I gotta be with you when you write on these things. And so when we look at these types of standards, when we're talking about it in real time, I mean, she making some points. Okay, she making some points. But then when Andy asks a question from, I guess the people submits their questions or whatever. Side note, Andy did mention that y'all should submit y'all questions for the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip cast, because he gonna have them on Watch What Happens Live, I guess for a future episode, likely next week when the premiere is, because the three episodes premiere next Thursday. So yada, 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 just so y'all know. Anyway, so the question comes up, if Candace has ever considered anger management and why she threw the lettuce at Mia. So then Candace says, if someone is disrespecting me in a way that I feel like I'm being bullied, or someone is attempting to put me into the ground, I'm going to respond. So I'm unclear if that's why she threw the lettuce. I mean, is that why she was saying she threw the lettuce? Because the throwing of the thing, I thought was a no-no, according to her. Okay, but anyway. So then, Wendy chimes in and says, the thing about Candace is that that's different from Candace, is that Candace sticks her landings with her jabs. And so, and I've talked to you guys previously about how Candace has great timing and great cadence. But sometimes the jabs just be like, ooh, that was a little too, yay. And because they are so like plentiful, it just be like, oh, maybe you might want to back up on that one just a little bit. But anyway, so Candace then asked, well, should I not stick my landings to spare the feelings of the people in this group? So then Karen warns her. Karen says, Candace, you keep going and you may not have to spare anyone's feelings. Everyone may tune you out. Okay? And Candace is like, well, that's okay then. Let them walk away. I thought that was an interesting little point right there. And because both Karen and Giselle were pretty much on the same accord with that statement, because next you will see at some point, Giselle even is going to say, I'm washing my hands of this. So, oh my God, Destiny, you know what? That just made my day. Y'all know, I mean, that was I'm gonna just have to leave this up on the screen, Destiny. We thank from the whole Sky Squad community. We thank you. We appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. Yes, yes. So yes, Tish. The question is that code for ice you out if you keep on up with these shenanigans? Okay. Um, So I thought that was a very interesting statement. So what we're going to be on the lookout for is one, whether Candiace continues down this line next season, and then two, how the ladies respond to her if she continues in this way that she is going. Okay. Now I see some people saying, well, who are Karen and Giselle? Well, at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell y'all, you know, when you look at the hierarchy and the dynamics on this show, I mean, and you really think about it, at the end of the day, Giselle and Karen are at literally the top of the rankings, okay? Probably with the network, I would say. Now, Wendy then got up there too, because Wendy has been, you know, doing the doggone thing this season, and that's how she got that seat next to Andy. But really, the core of this friendship group does go back to Giselle and Karen being the headliners of this show. We can debate about it all we want to, but their friendship is the nucleus of this cast. Okay. Um, and I think that's just the truth of it all. You know, Giselle mentions that she's never been in any altercations though. But then Candiace is like, well, you may not have been in an altercation, but you sure did run on down to Ashley's restaurant with your friend. Okay. You walked your butt down into Ashley's restaurant and got in her face. And then Giselle says she didn't know what Robin was going to do. Okay. And then Robin is like, well, when I was there, I just saw red. And it's so interesting how in that moment, I said to myself, though, Robin, you said you saw red, so it was understandable when you put your fingers all up in, you know, all your fingers up in Ashley's face, but you can't understand when somebody else gets mad and does the same thing. It just bothered me just a tiny bit right there. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna keep it moving because this ain't the focus of the conversation right now. We will discuss that another day. Okay. Because that ain't been Robin's first altercation either. Because Robin got into it with Monique, daring her to put the paws on her, and Monique had to tell her, I'm gonna get you with this umbrella, Ella, A. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting because Candiace is basically pointing out that everybody in this group has almost had some type of physical altercation. That was something that Candiace was basically stating if you watch the clip. And I'm going to put the clip in the description of this video, so don't worry about it. You guys will get to watch it for yourselves, especially if you are a Bravo insider. Candiace says, I'm very aware of myself. You all aren't aware of yourselves. You want to hold me to some standards that's different from what you all has done, but everybody up here has done something physical. Okay. And she says, and then Robin kind of jumps in and was like, well, listen, you don't think that maybe you take it a step farther than everybody else? And Candiace, of course, says she's just better at wielding her words. And Andy's like, well, I think they're all trying to give you some like big sister almighty advice. I added in my own almighty. Okay. And Candiace says, and to my big sisters, I say, okay, I'm okay. I'm here, but I hear what you're saying, but I'm good. Okay. And then Andy next turns to Mia. Okay. And he says, Mia, girl, last year I told Candiace that she was a disaster on Twitter, but now you are the disaster on Twitter. Okay. And so they go through this whole myriad of like tweets and things like that she has been said and responded to. And let me tell you something, all the girls go in, but it is Skylar who has brought the receipts to the reunion. Okay. These are the first receipts that we might see. And Skylar's like, girl, let me show you. If you don't remember what you tweeted, okay, here they go. Here are all the papers. Okay. Take these papers. Here you go, girl. And so Mia, okay, I don't even have my notebook up here. Mia opens up the papers and she starts to scroll through. And Candace is like, why are you reading them like you don't know what you said? Okay. I mean, she was studying them papers like, I mean, it was some legal documentation. I was like, what is going on? So her stance is this. She says, I own what was said, but I had a social media manager who is somebody that I've known for ages, and they was tweeting on my behalf or whatever like that. And all the girls are like, no, girl, just admit you did it. Just admit you said it. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you the truth. What I would do is, in this situation, Mamma Mia, I would simply say, you know what, y'all are right. It is my first season on this show, and things just bothered me to the ends and the depths of the earth. I tweeted it. I did it. It was all a lie, okay?
It was all a lie. Guys, it was all a lie. She lied.
That's what I would say, okay? I would just say, listen, all right, I did it. It was me. Even if the host, because the social media thing, it just sounds like, oh, I'm not gonna really take accountability for this. That's what it sounds like. Even if it's true, it sounds like what? Because the insults were so specific. And I try to tell y'all, these Twitter beefs don't pay the bills. They don't pay the bills. Okay? They don't pay the bills. And so again, like I said, if I was her, because it doesn't do her any favors in this moment. Again, even if it's true, I would just simply say, it's me. I own it. I did it. My feelings were hurt. I should not have done it. I've learned my lessons. Y'all, please forgive me. Okay? I was angry. Okay? That's what she should say. Because otherwise, that's why they literally are all ripping her stories apart. They ripping her stories apart. Yes, Jaleesa. Even if she does, it comes off better when you accept responsibility. That's it. Just admit it. All right. Because I mean, at the end of the day, the thing that you can't say, I mean, the thing that is, I mean, whether you like it or not about Candace is she will stand 10 toes down in what she said, except when she forget what she said. Okay, because she said she didn't call Ashley a slave. But it was in reference to her saying that Michael drives the slaves. Okay, so that was kind of a thing where I was like, maybe she just forgot what she said. But 9 times out of 10, she kind of stands in it. She kind of owns it. So you got to give her credit for that. Okay, just to take a look at it. You know, I could deal with a problem that somebody is accepting. But Lindsay says, off topic, the fact that Giselle isn't worried about Jamal's tax situation is sus. Karen is right. It will come back to bite her. Makes me wonder if they were actually married. What do you think, Richie? You know, I don't know about that tax situation. I never know. Listen, taxes are something that are oftentimes beyond my my pay grade, you know, mostly because I just feel like they are very complicated. And the more money you make, the more tax liability you have. And then when you start adding in companies and that sort of thing like that, it gets very convoluted. I am a work in progress with my own taxes and working with my accountant and working with QuickBooks and all of that type of stuff. So for me and bookkeepers, and there are so many things that you have to have in place and you have to understand. And then when you add in a marriage to that, I think it just kind of makes things even crazier. So for me, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question though. I mean, Karen brought it up. And, you know, Karen was in a situation with Ray where he has some tax issues, but they are still married. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. But the advice that Karen was trying to give her, I felt like was sage advice because Karen has been there as well. So I definitely believe. But on the flip side, that's all I know about the taxes. On the flip side, I do believe that they were in fact married, because I feel like that is pretty well known in the community here in Maryland and in Baltimore. And I think it's just highly acknowledged that they were married. Okay. Candace Williamson says all of these issues are distinguishable because Candace's outbursts come off as childish, bratty tantrums instead of grown woman disputes. That is a very interesting observation, Candace, and we appreciate you for chiming that in. And the thing, and I think I said this at the end of last season, the thing that makes this show so delectable for a lot of us is the fact that I did not, because I had a meeting with my assistant last night to work on some stuff for the business. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to watch it because I know Karen was on with Team, but I'm gonna watch it later when I get a moment. Maybe I will watch it when I'm getting my tattoo that I'm gonna be late for. But I got work to do. We got stuff to talk about, so we're gonna have to do what it do. Okay. Thank you for the super chat, Kara. The fact of the matter is, the women on this show have said in the past, Candace is correct. They have said all kinds of crazy things about, each other. I think that some people, it still rings in people's ears is some certain tweets that Candace had made out, in years prior, about, other like bloggers and stuff like that. And just those types of things that were said, like in that live that she did last year. I think those are the things that a lot of people still look to that were never acknowledged by her. And so they kind of feel like so what we see now is just more of what we saw then. So I think that's really a big part of the issue with Candace that people aren't necessarily trying to say, but it still exists out there in the stratosphere. Okay. But in terms of what the women say on the show, Candace is correct in her statement that they have all gone low to the ground with each other. And other women on the show have had either near physical or almost physical altercations, that did not exist with just her. So, but she was also in the mix of the butter knife, the Monique situation, and now the lettuce. So with that being said, I think that, they may be trying to give her some sage advice from a global perspective, but I think sometimes what it does is it comes across as slightly hypocritical. Okay. And that's just it. Maybe those women aren't the ones to tell her or to try to educate her on what should or should not be done. And maybe that needs to come from a neutral party who has not been on this show, who has not engaged in any of the shenanigans. You know what I mean? So anyway, I don't know, y'all. It's about to be good. I personally believe that Candace will grow in time in her own direction. But I think right now she may be fighting against it because she may be seeing, hey, I see y'all do these things and y'all are older, so y'all can't tell me not to do what y'all doing. That could be it. I don't know. But anyway, let me head on out. Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for your commentary. I try to, capture as many as I can, or at least respond to some things that I see. But with that being said, y'all, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. And y'all know I love y'all. And once again, happy Veterans Day out there to everybody who is a veteran or has families, with veterans. We just want to acknowledge that today. And I will catch you guys in the next video.